Got a good stance, Loki. He got a jab, I think.
We're not messing with this guy.
There's no way I'm actually like can go to fucking jail.
There's no denying it. Jake Paul once wore the crown as the most hated YouTuber on the entire platform. He even outdid his own brother Logan Paul in stirring up pure outrage. While Logan sometimes got away with being seen as the slightly better sibling, Jake became the poster boy for arrogance, reckless antics, and loud, in-your-face flexing. Just hearing Jake's name made people instantly think of wild, out-of-control parties at the Team 10. Jake Paul didn't just stop at Wild Mansion parties. His videos became a parade of cash, flashy cars, and luxury living, all flaunted, with zero concern for the backlash. Viewers weren't shy about tearing him apart either. They called him embarrassing, obnoxious, and flat out labeled him a loudmouth hypocrite who only cared about chasing fame. After Disney kicked him to the curb for being too disruptive, and the press literally branded him a Los Angeles disaster.
FBI agents have raided the Southern California home of YouTube star Jake Paul. Federal officials say the search was part of an investigation. Wendy Birch is in Calabasas with what we're learning tonight.
His reputation tanked so badly that people doubted if his career could ever crawl back. But here's the twist. Jake's story took a turn no one saw coming. Against every grim prediction, he didn't just rebuild his image. He blew past expectations. Suddenly, even his harshest critics were forced to admit he'd changed. People started saying, I hate to admit it, but Jake Paul is starting to win me over. Others pointed out how much he had matured, claiming, he's so much more grown up now, and I respect him for it. And just like that, the same guy who was once public enemy #1 was now gaining respect across the board. Jake Paul managed to pull off what most thought was impossible, flipping a scandal-soaked reputation into one of the craziest redemption arcs YouTube has ever seen. And when you really break it all down, his comeback might actually be even more shocking than the media makes it seem. So, how did Jake Paul rise from being written off as the Los Angeles disaster to becoming one of the most influential names in YouTube boxing? As Steve Jobs once said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. Mansion, complete with neighbors so fed up they were dialing the cops nonstop. You can only connect them looking backwards. And to really understand the Jake Paul of today, we've got to rewind all the way back to 2013. That's when Jake and his brother Logan exploded on Vine, cranking out 6-second clips packed with over-the-top energy. Practically overnight, the blonde-haired kid became an internet sensation, snagging a Disney contract and a starring role on Bizaardvark.
Mine was just to be the world champion, then also not only being the champion, but keeping my dignity, my pride, and my manhood. So this is my purpose.
Well, it happened. Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson.
The crossover stuff like what Jake Paul doing and Ngannou just did, man, I respect it. You got some guys that are saying, oh, it takes away from boxers. I don't think so. It actually brings a new audience, more eyeballs, and if their fan base follows them over to boxing, man, more power to them. So I'm a fan of it, I appreciate it, and I watch it.
By just 19, Jake had everything. Fame, fortune, and a spotlight brighter than most could ever dream of. But when Vine collapsed in 2016, Jake faced a turning point. He kept his Disney gig, but at the same time, he jumped headfirst into YouTube to keep himself relevant. That's where he discovered a whole new formula for fame. You didn't need to be insanely talented. You just needed to keep people talking. One of his first videos cracked 1 million views, and that was enough to convince Jake that controversy wasn't just attention, it was the golden ticket to success. That's when Team 10 was born. On paper, it sounded genius, a creator incubator where young influencers teamed up to pump out viral content. At first, it worked like a charm. Millions of views poured in, merch sales exploded, and Jake Paul's name was plastered everywhere. It was like YouTube had its own reality TV empire. And for a moment, Jake sat at the center of it all. But soon, the chaos spilled way beyond the camera. Team 10 became less of a creative hub and more of a real-life soap opera. Drama, betrayals, reckless challenges, and pranks that went way too far. Jake and his crew were lighting furniture on fire in the streets, zip-lining out of windows into random yards, and pulling stunts people called downright dangerous. The neighbors? They didn't hold back. They said Jake's mansion had turned their block into an all-out war zone. The media had a field day with Team 10, branding it the ultimate symbol of reckless irresponsibility. National outlets tore into the lawless YouTuber clique, while angry parents blasted Jake as a toxic influence corrupting kids online. But Jake's controversy equals fame formula eventually blew up in his face. By 2017, Disney abruptly cut ties with him mid-season. They tried to play it off as an amicable split, but Jake later came clean. He was basically fired. Just like that, the squeaky clean Disney kid image was dead and gone. But Jake wasn't about to vanish quietly. He pivoted fast, this time into music. On May 30th, 2017, he dropped It's Everyday Bro, a move that shocked everyone. Critics absolutely ripped it apart, calling it amateur rap with a flat, repetitive beat and laughable, brag-filled lyrics. But here's the catch. Jake wasn't aiming for respect from music critics. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Neighbors, though, say that he's been filming dangerous stunts and he's putting people in danger.
It used to be a really nice, quiet street, and now we're just this, war zone. We're families here, and we're more than happy to have them live here if they're respectful of their neighbors, but they're not.
The song was designed as a spectacle, catchy enough for kids to chant nonstop, but ridiculous enough for adults to clown on. That combination sparked endless debates, memes, and reaction videos. And suddenly, Jake had engineered the perfect storm. It's Everyday Bro didn't blow up because it was good. It went viral because it was so outrageous that no one could stop talking about it. The payoff was massive. It's Everyday Bro racked up more than 300 million views, pulled in millions in ad revenue, and cemented Jake's global notoriety. But he didn't stop there. Jake doubled down on the formula, turning his entire personal life into one giant, never-ending reality show. Take his so-called wedding with Tana Mongeau. It was the ultimate spectacle, a totally staged event, complete with an officiant and even a wild brawl breaking out mid-ceremony. Nobody really believed it was legit, but that didn't matter. The stunt worked. Hundreds of reporters swarmed the scene. Tabloids couldn't get enough, and millions of fans tuned in like it was a blockbuster event. The kicker? Some outlets estimated the media value of that single fake wedding at a jaw-dropping $600 million. The outcome was staggering. Over 300 million views, millions in ad revenue, and Jake Paul's name plastered across the globe. But he wasn't content with just music. Jake took the same outrageous formula and applied it to his personal life, transforming it into a non-stop, made-for-YouTube reality show. The fake wedding with Tana Mongeau, pure chaos and pure genius. It was a spectacle everyone knew was staged, yet it had everything. An officiant, vows, and even a wild fight breaking out mid-ceremony. The whole thing screamed farce, but that didn't stop the circus. Reporters packed the event by the hundreds. Headlines spread like wildfire, and millions of people streamed in just to watch the madness unfold. Some outlets claimed the stunt's media value hit around $600 million. And unbelievably, that number doesn't even sound far-fetched. But Jake's strategy of constant escalation eventually exposed its cracks. Scandal after scandal piled up, and the shock factor wore thin. By 2020, the internet had grown numb. What once caused outrage in 2017 was now met with an eye roll. People muttering, "Oh, it's just Jake Paul again." With the hype fading, Jake felt pressure to push the boundaries even further. That's when the Arizona Mall incident happened in June 2020. While protests spiraled into riots, Jake was spotted wandering through the chaos, cameras rolling. A millionaire didn't need to loot, but his very presence in that scene was enough to ignite a national media storm. Some swore he staged it with a hired film crew. Others thought he was just reckless and clueless. Either way, Jake got what he always chased: attention. And wow, oh my God, the coverage was wild. But this time, the cost hit harder. The public started comparing Jake to his brother, Logan. Once branded the reckless sibling, Logan was now working to show maturity, while Jake doubled down on being outrageous. The verdict was brutal. Logan grew up, Jake didn't. The irony? Jake understood that perfectly. Not growing up wasn't a mistake in his mind, it was his brand. The loud, brash persona that built his empire. The problem? That brand had an expiration date. His views sank. Old scandals felt stale, and his audience, once teenage fans hyped on his antics, had grown up and moved on. By clinging too tightly to his forever rebel image, Jake slowly lost the very fan base that made him famous in the first place. The buzz was fading, and many were convinced his career was done for good. But just when it looked like Jake had hit rock bottom, he shocked everyone again, this time by diving full-time into boxing. The question hung in the air. Was this a desperate stunt to stay relevant, or a real reinvention? Either way, boxing wasn't a side hustle. It became the foundation of Jake Paul's next act and the cornerstone of his career's wild promotional strategy. Let's be real. Boxing isn't just about throwing punches, it's about selling a show.
We're looking at all available options that we have from the city side, and we're also working with the Lost Hills Sheriff Station to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again in our community.
The sport thrives on trash talk, wild pre-fight antics, and over-the-top drama that grabs headlines. Conor McGregor is the perfect example. Even when he broke his leg mid-fight, he stayed on the canvas hurling curses at his opponent. And that audacity made him a media gold mine. Jake Paul, with his infamous online reputation, saw the blueprint and ran with it. He didn't just copy the formula, he cranked it up to YouTube levels. Think of him as a McGregor 2.0, only louder, more controversial, and perfectly built for the internet age. The fallout, total division. Fans couldn't stop arguing. Some sneered, "It's pathetic." Jake is 27 while Mike's nearly 60. Others admitted, didn't love the outcome, but respect for Jake stepping in. "Keep going, Jake." That split reaction only fueled the circus even more. Then came Jake's post-fight comment, saying he didn't want to hurt someone who didn't need to be hurt. People immediately took it as a sly jab at Tyson, sparking another wave of heated debate. Allegations of the fight being rigged started flying left and right, forcing Most Valuable Promotions to step in and slam the rumors as completely absurd. But regardless of the drama, the impact was undeniable. The fight shattered records on Netflix, racking up over 100 million viewers and blasting Jake Paul across global headlines like "Never Before," "Love Him or Hate Him." That single event marked the moment Jake Paul officially planted himself at the center of worldwide sports entertainment, and the world couldn't look away. When Ben Askren, the very opponent Jake Paul brutally knocked out back in 2021, was suddenly fighting for his life, needing a double lung transplant, the world was stunned.
So sad, the double lung transplant, which is also one of the most expensive surgeries, which is why they denied it.
That's when Jake quietly stepped up. He donated a huge sum to support Ben and even urged his fans to chip in too. At a press conference after his win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Jake surprised everyone by shifting the spotlight. Instead of bragging about his victory, he pleaded, "Everybody, please pray for Ben Askren. Insurance is a scam, and it's so sad. The double lung transplant is one of the most expensive surgeries, which is why they denied it. I feel like I have to do something." And that's really all it is. That moment cracked open a new side of Jake Paul, one we weren't used to seeing. And the payoff? After a successful surgery, Ben appeared in an emotional video, personally thanking Jake and promising to recover. It was a powerful moment that forced even Jake's harshest critics to pause and admit, maybe he's not just a loudmouth chasing clout. The Jake Paul of 2025 looks different. Not just an entertainer stirring chaos, but a man showing he can extend a hand when it counts. Gone are the constant camera screams and reckless stunts. Now, he speaks about discipline, focus, and growth. His audience has changed too. Once tuning in just to hate watch, many now follow his journey out of curiosity, to witness how far he'll evolve. So here's the real question. Has Jake Paul genuinely changed, or is this just another carefully scripted chapter in his career? Whatever the truth, one thing is clear. His image has shifted in ways no one expected. If someone as brash as Jake can grow, maybe there's hope for all of us. So what's your take on Jake Paul? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like,